And we're live. What's up, world? This is
What's
another.
going on?
This is another episode of the Think Muzic Podcast, episode number 18, and this is the Gnosis, aka the Word.
Yo, this is Dunlap. What's going on? Hope all is well. And look at this. Let me see if I can switch my camera around. I don't know. Y'all see that mop? I don't know. Can y'all see that mop? I'm out here grinding.
Putting in the work.
I'm out here grinding. You know what I'm saying? No tomfoolery out here. We grinding. We out here getting it. All right.
Right.
We out here getting it. This ain't no fake out here.
Yeah, we mixing it up. As you can see, DAP is on the job site. So we're using we're trying out broadcasting with his cell phone, so we can still come through and do what we do.
Yes.
As you can see, we're real people.
Yes, that's what I want y'all to see. We real out here. This ain't no fugazi. I'm out here pushing this mop right now while y'all at home eating popcorn enjoying the podcast. You feel me? You heard me? Oh.
Yep. This is how it goes down. But we still wanted to bring something for the people this evening, and our title is real simple: Revelation.
Revelation.
We'll get right into it.
Do you have the Iman on that? Do you have the Iman on that?
The Iman?
Yeah. Do you have the etymology on that?
Oh, the etymology? Oh yeah.
Okay.
Peace, positive journey. What's happening? Thank
positive
you for tuning
journey.
in.
What's up?
Well, I tell you what. Before we get into the etymology, I want to let's talk about the video I sent you.
Okay.
And then we'll later, the rest of the foundation.
All right.
So, and you have to excuse me that I got the little ones, they enjoying themselves. But this video I stumbled across was this guy, Peace Brianna.
Peace wifey.
This guy is like a one of these prepper channels on YouTube. And damn, I can't even hear myself talk. He's on there talking about the jab, okay? And he's saying that one of his followers asked him in a live if he had heard of, I can't even remember the name of the place. It's somewhere in Spain. I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna print this out. But basically, these people, it's like some independent lab, and they determined that what they're putting in people is some form of oxidized graphite. Okay.
Yes.
And so, graphite is basically what you got in the tip of a pencil lead, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I think
And
graphite was in tennis rackets too, right?
yeah,
Or
they
they
do. They make some graphite tennis rackets.
Yep. I was kind of thinking where I heard that also, and it was tennis rackets. Okay.
And what's interesting is there was a big hoopla when I was a kid about Voltron, the original
Yes.
Voltron. I had the original, and man, I could kick myself in the neck. Um, only
I had
only
a
one I got left is the number 5 line, which is interesting. That's the only one I got left. But we had to stop playing with Voltron because they came out with this whole thing about it had lead in it, and they had this whole campaign about the danger of children playing with Voltron. So basically, my mama just had me put it up, and I was terrible taking care of stuff. So I don't know what I did with all those pieces, but
you had the metal. You had the metal, John.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, not that it was like metal. It was plastic.
Okay.
It's not metal.
I know. I'm saying
Um,
because they had some metal ones back in the day. I think
I
if you
think
had
that's.
I think it. Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I think because I'm trying to remember when I had a miniature Voltron, and it was rubber or something like that. But I had a friend that had like a oversized Voltron, and the John was metal. So that's why I was asking. I didn't know which one you had.
No, now mine was like I think it's mostly plastic.
Okay.
Um, but they put out different versions, so there might have been a one I hadn't seen. Um, but that's just a sidebar. It's just funny about how it was such a big hoopla about lead and lead poisoning. Here we are, some 40 years later. You know, 30 something, 40 years later. And if this is true, the irony that, something's going, it's just straight up putting graphite in people's blood. So we, to me, that video kind of ties in with the idea that we typically have of a time of revelation. What's up, Flex?
Peace, Flex.
So what were your thoughts when you saw that?
Man. It made me think that with everything they're doing, um, with forcing people to get this shot and everyone's starting to, share what they, what they feel is, well, not what they feel was in it, but their research saying that's in it. It just made me think. The first thing I thought is this: if the elite has all these plans we say they have, then maybe because we're in the information age, what they're trying to get across or what they were trying to do was kind of maybe maybe we've understand it or found it out. So now they have a fast forward button going with this, virus and pushing this vaccine to try to get their agenda online quicker than the other moves they were trying before. So this is a way to scare people. This is the aliens are
Say that last part again about the aliens. Okay, his signal might have dropped out. I think he was saying that this is the equivalent of saying like the aliens are coming, and alluding to the series of Ronald Reagan speeches, back in the 80s, where he said how quickly our differences would pale in comparison if there was a outside threat, an alien threat. He can never say the word alien threat. So I think that's what he was alluding to. You know, to if he dropped out, he'll come back in. To put this foreign threat out there. That would divert attention to that and away from other areas. Flex said, y'all see Juvenile take a check to make a video called Vax That Thing. What? Vax that thing up. Wow. Wow. And Brandon said, isn't it odd if 5G makes radiation come out, then lead could potentially aid with it in the blood? It's lead pads on the body during x-ray. Came out today was linking lead to melanin. Yeah, lead is carbon. Mm-hmm. Wow. You there, bruh?
yeah, my whole joint dropped out.
Mm.
Oh boy. Who out here say on their channel? They jiggling wires. I don't know where I got cut off at.
About Reagan's comment about the aliens.
Yeah, so I felt like, okay, so their play, this so if we thinking they're gonna take over, the elite is gonna take over as we think this plan is, or what research say, or whatever the plan's supposed to be. I feel like this pandemic is a acceleration of sorts to get whatever their end means are. And that's what I got from that video, bro. It's like another way of, okay, we're in the information age. They done found some things out. We got to accelerate it. The quickest way we can accelerate something is to create this pandemic and then create a shot you need to get.
Interestingly, it drops out right there. Well, what we're going to do in keeping along those lines is we're going to move into the word revelation, okay? Because these are considered to be revelatory, eschatological, events in time. But that's based on our perception of the word revelation. But does the word revelation really mean what we think it means? That just dropped out. He'll come back in. So let's start with, let's do a little bit of etymology just on the word revelation. It comes from the root UEG, Okay, the word revel traces back to the root UEG, and it means weave. Okay, now we have to break that word down further though, because revelation, when we have the prefix re, it means again. So what revelation really is revelation. That means to veil something again. And so when we're looking at the root, we're really looking at the word veil. And veil means weave. So to revelate or revelate is to weave again. And the weaving serves as a cover. All right. So when we think of the word revelation, connotatively, we think about it's uncovering something. Oh, it's a time of revelation. All the secrets are coming out. But the word revelation does not speak to that. It speaks to covering something again, as in hiding something again. So first, we just want to bring that up to maybe correct our understanding that what we're considering to be revelation is really unvelation, unveiling, pulling out from under the veil. That's what we're really looking at. And when we're thinking about revelation, that's what we're really aiming at. That's our intent, to unveil. Okay. But
That
if
makes
we
sense.
just,
That makes sense with the end of the Bible. I'll go back on mute.
yes, yes. And um man, I don't even know where to. Okay, so the guy in the video talked about graphite, okay? And this is gonna tie into Brianna said the Bobby video came out today where he linked lead to melanin. And it's gonna tie into the guy's video that we mentioned. This is a very hard to find book now. It's called The Atomic Christ. It's by William Henry. Okay. Now I want to read something out of here. What page is it on? Let me find my. Bear with me. Here we go. Okay. Now I want you. This section in the book is called The Atomic Pal. There we go. The Atomic Pal. Okay. Now I just want to read a little bit. It says the Atomic Pal Project, where the foundations for the atomic era were laid, was first centered by Pupin Hall at Columbia University. There, Fermi, who immigrated from Italy to the United States in 1938, but who was not yet an American citizen and was therefore technically an enemy alien, and the Hungarian-born Szilard and Edward Teller looked to duplicate the process which created the energy of the stars. Intense heat that caused light nuclei, such as hydrogen, to fuse in the process, liberate incredible amounts of energy. Okay. Now I want to show you these pictures here before I continue reading. This first picture is them assembling a reactor with thousands of graphite blocks and uranium pellets. That's this picture right here. Okay. And this is a picture of modern charcoal burners at the University of Chicago. Okay. Then it goes on to say, after considerable debate between Szilard and Fermi, Szilard finally concluded that the pure graphite would be the best substance for the controlled nuclear reaction. Graphite is one of the forms of carbon and is also known as black lead. When the first nuclear reactor was finished in September 1941, it was an extremely pure carbon graphite column or pillar, 3 by 3 by 8 feet. Now, what does this sound like? A pillar, the JED pillar. So they have taken, through studying occult science, they had taken it and then kind of superimposed it into a scientific project. But the key that I just want to point out is that he's talking about graphite, i.e. lead, i.e. carbon. Okay. He references a book called Alchemy, Science of the Cosmos, Science of the Soul. And it says, quote, in alchemical terms, lead represents the chaotic, heavy, and sick condition of metal or of the inward man, Adam, while gold, congealed light, and earthly sun expresses the perfection of both metallic and human perfection. In Grail literature, well, we don't need that. Okay, that's enough of that. Now, this is something I want to go back and go back to the word revelation, though, in the Bible, the book of Revelations. This book is another, this is something Bobby Hemmett always recommended, was Beginner's Guide to Revelation by Robin Robertson. Okay, he's got a passage in here where he briefly talks about chapter 8 in Revelations, and the way he explains it reveals or unveils how our discovery about the word revelation is expressed in the book of Revelations. I want to read something and how he breaks this down. This is chapter 8 in the book of Revelations 1 through 6. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. Now, this is what he says. He says, let us return once more to the vision. When the 7th seal is opened by the Lamb, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. In other words, there is a short pause to mark the end of the cycle, the turning point, before there is a return to a new cycle. After this short pause, 7 angels with 7 trumpets appear, clearly inaugurating a new cycle of 7. Now, the key here is this pause. What I'm suggesting is that this pause at the end of one cycle and before the beginning of another is unveilation. And then when the new cycle begins, that is revelation, because you are revealing the mysteries. So that point between one cycle ended and another is what we would call death. And so I feel like what we are entering into, or not entering, we're already in a season of unveilation. Several timelines are converging right now. Several astrological phenomena have happened, and there are yet even more phenomenal things to occur that suggest we are at a time of unveilation. A
Yes.
brief pause. Go ahead,
Yes.
brother.
Now I was just agreeing, and we was talking earlier, and I was like, it's funny during this time we've had a eclipse, 2018. We had all these blood moons. So now, if the elite has understanding of astrology, and it started making me think about all the things that has come online recently also, because we were saying that if this is a if this is a unveiling, and the people that's in power, they don't want to lose power, what can they do to thwart the change, or during the change keep the people at a subdued place, so when this is over they're still on top? And this is why I wish I was at home, because I think the Tragedy and Hope book, it says that every time it's time for this civilization to be dominated, something happens to where it doesn't happen, and they keep on moving forward, but they're able to dominate other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the last 6 7 years, you didn't, back when I used to listen to George Norrie a lot, because I was out at night and I would have it on. He would have people on there talking about remote viewing. And it's like I was telling Jamal earlier, I'm like, yo, like, if they know these things are coming and they understand cycles and we're in a cycle, and then you all of a sudden you get this influx of these people with remote viewing, and they're trying to see what's coming, because as I was saying earlier offline, maybe we don't know what's next, but we know something is next. And maybe they do know what's next and they're trying to get ahead of it so they can still be in power when it's over. It's it's an interesting thought of
Mm-hmm.
what they're trying to do. It's very interesting what they're trying to do. So that was my thought.
Yes,
Hearing this
indeed.
information.
Yes, indeed. Um,
I'm going back on mute real quick.
okay. Well, let's look at some eschatological passages, if you will. Um, let's see here. Let's see. because we did this off the cuff. So I want to go. I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Let's go here. Let's go here. This same book, because we just got to go on. We got to put this on the record. This same book, these guys are tricky, you know. Even when they give truths, it's tricky. Okay, I want to share something. So this guy sent me on a wild goose chase. I want to read something. Okay, he's got a passage in here. He says, and all this stuff ties in. The first category of secrets is a means to establish a social order, a kingdom of heaven on earth, based on spiritual principles. Interestingly, at the end, said the Essene Dead Sea Scrolls, the star or light to the west called Marika would shine. Now, first of all, I have not been able to find this in the Dead Sea Scrolls in the text. Okay, but he left a citing here. Now, he cites this book called Bloodline of the Holy Grail. Okay. And it was the 1996 version. Now, this was like 5 years ago. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago when I stumbled across this. Bloodline of the Holy Grail is where he says he got it from. Man, I went and got one copy. He said it's on page 33. I get one copy, nothing in there about no Marika. What's up, Nate? I said, okay, my mistake was I didn't get the 1996 version. I go and get the 1996, page 33, nothing on there about Marika. So either this guy purposely put a bogus let me let that back in. Okay, there we go. Either this guy gave a bogus citation or they went and pulled it out of the book. Okay? So I'll let it go. Years gone by. You can't find what's up, Young E? You can't find nothing nowhere. None of these books on mythology. You can't find anything about Marika. Okay? Until I happen. There's another book by the Him User recommend called Dictionary of Ancient Deities. That book is like cheapest copy you can get now is like probably like $600 on Amazon. But they did a reprint under a different name called Encyclopedia of Ancient Deities. And this costs $50. It is worth $50 just for this right here. Let me see. I want you to see it for the dramatic effect. I want you to see this little tiny. Let me see if I can get it up there. Marika, the name of the Greek sorceress. Okay? Now you notice it also, it refers to, this is what makes this book so valuable. It'll give you a name and it'll give you corresponding names. So it gives you the name Circe. All right? So, what is phenomenal, and this is something for another discussion to really go into all the details. But long story short, this is the Marika. We've always heard about the Vespucius Americanos. I don't believe none of that. I don't believe that's where the name America come from. I don't. I don't. First of all, we've got Mare, which becomes Mur, which becomes more, because it's the basic root MR, you know, and we see that this goddess Marika is Roman, but is she really Roman? No, she's Etruscan. She's an Etruscan goddess. And I stumbled across something else that gives more in-depth information about Dia Marika. It's very hard to find any information. And that's what makes me feel like, on to something here. Dia Marika is a descriptive title, not a proper name, meaning goddess of the salt marshes. Also goddess of the wetlands. And so then, look at this. History of the wetlands in the conterminous, that just means sharing common borders. Conterminous, United States. Most of the United States was wetlands. So if Marika is a goddess of the swamps or wetlands or salt marshes, then we go back and see that most of the United States, early 1600s to 1800s, was marshland or wetland. Well, B. We start putting a little puzzle together here. Now, Marika, what's up, Straight Panther? Marika is also the goddess Venus. And Venus is Aphrodite. Hold your horses. It's going to go back to hold on one second.
And just to add on real quick, we know that they flooded places too that may have had some significance that maybe they were trying to cover up. Because when I was in South Carolina last weekend, I was watching something on HGTV with people buying homes. And this couple was buying a home in Texas at this on this man-made lake that they said was created. But who knows what was there previously.
Right. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Yo, Young E, thank you, good brother, for the Cash App. Appreciate that. So check this out. When we look up, okay,
Yeah, that was my fault. Yeah, thanks, Young E, on that. You're gonna be well, we'll talk about that later before we get off.
So I just want to do this real quick. Read this. Aphrodite. Remember, Marika, who is Circe. Check this out. I gotta say this. The Circe is where we get the word church from. So the 7 churches in Revelation are the 7 Venuses, because Circe is Marika, is Venus, is Aphrodite. Okay? Church also gives us the word Kirk, which is why in 1966, when what's my man's name? Damn, I know his name, tip of my tongue, who created Star Trek.
Gene Roddenberry.
Gene Roddenberry, he comes out with his lead man who keeps this dark tan all the time, named James T. Kirk. James, brother of Christ, the Christ figure. Kirk, church. And he said what? We will boldly go where no man has gone before. But that's a sidebar. Okay. Kirk, Circe, Marika, Venus, Aphrodite. Same. So this is Robert Gray's Greek myths. Aphrodite. Foam-born. Let me go. Damn, I had this mark. Aphrodite. Which one is it that gives the Here we go. As goddess of death and life, Aphrodite earned many titles which seem inconsistent with her beauty and complacence. At Athens, she was called the eldest of the Fates and sister of Erinyes, and elsewhere, Melanus, Black One. Now we're coming back to what Brianna said about Brother Bobby's video that came out, linking lead to melanin. Aphrodite is Melanus, Black One, a name ingenuously explained by Pausanias as meaning the most love-making takes place at night. Also, Scotia, Dark One. Okay, so I'm my bad for kind of rambling there, but I want to just make that connection because it's just interesting that we come around that this is true about this graphite. And now I'm starting to think about something I didn't originally think about. Is this a way to try to infuse some artificial melanin?
Yo, I was just thinking the same thing, bro. I was waiting for you. I was about to chime in. Go ahead and drop it, B. Like what? Yo, not to cut your wisdom, but I was thinking this. I said, yo, these cats supposed to be nefarious, right? But what if on like just the download just came, bro? Like, what if they know? What if they do some remote viewing or whatever? These people are like, yo, if you don't have melanin at the next level, it's a done deal. So on the low, we're trying to put melanin, even though it may be manufactured, into people to help everyone get to the next level. That's I'm gonna go back on mute because I'm about to go downstairs. But yeah, we had the same thought at this. I told you synchronicity is something, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking that same thing, but I'll let you build.
Nah, I mean, these kids I'm thinking I'm charging my phone. Ain't doing nothing. I got it plugged in with no plug. They didn't jack my shit. Yeah.
Yo, that's heavy. Yo, that's heavy.
Damn. Wow. That kind of cooked my noodle right there, because as I'm reading, I'm like, wait a minute. Are these motherfuckers trying to infuse some type of artificial form of melanin into the bloodstream. Oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Just a heads up. I'm in this kitchen. I might cut out. Just giving you a heads up.
Okay.
But after this kitchen, I'm done. After I hit this kitchen, I'll be finished. So I'll be good after that. But just giving you a heads up. I'm gonna go on mute real quick.
Okay. Well, since I'm reading, let's go back. And I've read this on the previous broadcast, but I think it's timely because, and see, this was something I was going to do a separate video on. But let's go here. Possibly, Brianna, possibly. Said, could it be a grand experiment? Very possible. You know, let's see what's going to come out in the wash. The movie Wreck-It Ralph. The kids' movies. Man. So I thought I really had this movie really pegged, you know. In the movie, Wreck-It Ralph is basically Pluto. Okay? That's a good point, Young E. And the other main character is, her name is Vanellope. Now, at first I thought it was Penelope with a P. But as you pay attention, the name is Vanellope, like vein. So they're making it clear she's Venus. Okay. Now, what I just read, the description here out of Robert Gray's book, he gives you the clue here. That Venus, in her association with Aphrodite, is connected to the dark, the underworld. Let me get what was his words exactly. It was that. Hold on, man. Damn it. It says Aphrodite earned many titles which seemed consistent with her beauty and complacence. At Athens, she was called the eldest of the fates and sister. First of all, we associate the word fate with fatalistic as death. Okay? But that's connotatively. Fate basically means it has been spoken. It means the reason fate is really associated with death is because death is inevitable. And we consider fate to be that which is inevitable. Okay? But it says she's called the Black One. As goddess of death in life. That right there. That shows us a correlation between Pluto and Venus. That they're along the same axis. Now, astrologically, that axis directly is represented as Taurus and Scorpio. Because Taurus is ruled by Venus. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto in modern astrology. That interplay between Pluto and Venus is played out in Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph, his job is to tear up things and destroy, okay, in the game. And Vanellope is considered to be a glitch in her game Candyland. And it's said that, she's got some type of, basically like some type of virus, that everybody needs to stay away from her. And all of the other characters in the game look down on her. Okay. They all dressed up nicely, and she's dressed like a little bum. Wreck-It Ralph comes and makes a car for her, this raggedy looking car. And he takes her in the underworld, Pluto, and he shows her how to drive. She learns how to drive in the underworld. Now, it turns out that the king of Candyland is really the villain. He's really Turbo. And Turbo is the one who has the glitch. And he's this very pale-faced, ghostly-looking character who has made himself up to look like a king. And they give it up. They say the whole thing is to not let her get in the race. Because they said if she's allowed to race and cross the finish line, the whole game resets. This is Venus, who is Aphrodite, who is Marika, who is Circe, who coincides with the graphite, the lead. Hopefully this is all coming together cohesively, making sense. Okay? If she's allowed to cross the finish line, the game resets. And possibly that's the great fear right now. If she's allowed, Marika, to cross the finish line, that the game will reset. And that means a new timeline starts. And so when she does, of course, she does cross the finish line and the game resets. And it turns out that Turbo had gone in and had manipulated something in the code of the game. He had manipulated something in the code of the game to where everybody had fallen asleep and had forgotten who they were, and they had forgotten who Vanellope, Venus, was. Okay? And when she crosses the finish line, everybody wakes back up and they remember that she's royalty, and she now goes back into her royal garb that is supposed to be hers. Okay? Now, y'all bear with me. I just gotta go here now, because this book is called Minerva. The Choice is Yours by Isabel Hickey. Now, this lady was born in like 1903, somewhere around there. So this is unheard of for her to write. I want to read what she wrote. She talks about, what's up, Leonard? Mobile in the house. Uh, oh wow. Yeah, Young E, you got to send that to me, bro, when you find that. She talks about the generation of Pluto and Libra. Okay. Now, just for clarification, Libra is the other sign associated with Venus. Venus rules Libra and Taurus. So now we have this, we got that same imprint again of Venus. She said, I'm going to skip right to where she gets to the business. She says, the souls that came into incarnation with Neptune and Saturn in conjunction in Libra at their birth, will be active and at work to usher in a new consciousness when Pluto goes over that conjunction. Many advanced souls have come in since 1945, and they will be the new leaders and statesmen. They have chosen to come in and clear the planet of the demagogues and the greedy materialism which such persons represent. A purifying, albeit painful, process will be at work on the planet. Now, listen to this. The avatar of the Aquarian age is about his father's business. His activity started on the outer levels with the entrance of Pluto into Libra. Once again, I just want to clarify. This is again speaking to an interaction between Pluto and Venus, because Venus rules Libra. Would you be surprised to find out he is already functioning? Now, sorry, let me back up. This was published in 1973, okay? Would you be surprised to find out he is already functioning and has chosen a black body in which to dwell? How many will recognize him? How many recognize the greatness in the Jewish carpenter? That passage still is,
It's
it
me.
still grabs me.
Yeah, because nobody knew that was the Messiah. And then what were they doing? As he was trying to tell them what was going on, they tried to harm him everywhere he went. And then what they do? They persecuted him. Heavy shit.
Yes, indeed. So, it looks as though full desperation. This is a time of absolute desperation. You know? And like that show Awake, or a movie Awake that's on Netflix, they say at this time people are either on or they're off. So it's kind of it's heavy, man. It's
like everything you gotta block this societal shit out and get ready for the real move. And that's what we've been talking about since we had our podcast going, is removing yourself from base understanding of what we've been taught. Do your own internal research, do your outward research, understand the game, but don't play the game. And start visualizing what you may have to do if certain things come online. This is preparing time. I was, like I told you earlier, I was telling my wife, I was like, look, with the way they doing this jab thing, you might have to get an RV and become a gig worker. You know what I'm saying?
Like who knows what this could play out to be. So it's like you gotta be you gotta be prepared, man. And and if you're doing the right thing, maybe something come online for you. Uh, you know, being correct in self and with your family and with humanity. Because something's coming. We in Revelation. It's pointed out. And so now where you got to find where you at in that walk. So my thing is this: tighten up, follow your downloads, and get ready for what's possibly next. And as Jamal said before, looking in astrology will help you personally. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Me and him had a deep dive offline. I ain't gonna go into it, but that's a fact. So, get a reading. Find out where you at. This brother right here, he does deep research. He's gonna be honest with you, and I say be honest with him. So when he reads the chart, it makes sense. And find out what you need to do for yourself individually.
Yo, I appreciate that, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because no doubt, Young E, that's right. Get on it, brother. It is something I read was said the spiritual war versus a material, but either way, that's what it is. We see that basically when the so-called industrial revolution began in the mid 1700s, that was a key turning point.
And that's in tragedy and hope. That's in tragedy and hope too, bro.
Right. Because these are people who are taking. Well, let's understand what people. Secret societies are not inherently, quote unquote, evil. But you can be in a society and have malefic intentions. Okay? And so these people who were so-called at the helm were basically people who were willing to do anything. Okay? And so the information that they had gotten a hold of, they didn't have the intentions of evolving humanity. It was to try to divert a time of unvelation. Okay? And so they ushered in the age of materialism. And materialism is not just saying that I want me some Gucci slippers. Material. I knew that would get your attention. But materialism is more so the idea that the world of matter becomes deific. It becomes a form of a deity, the material world. and where they would put up this wall to block out the true spiritual world for the common masses. And that's why you have things like the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel in Foreign Parts, things like that, missionaries and all of this stuff. Is because it is to shut down the internal technology while ramping up the emphasis on external, secondary technology. And so what we're seeing now is a culmination of that. And if it's true that an artificial derivative of melanin is being put in folk, then to me it's like, is it more of a thing of if you can't beat them, join them? So, if you have this 6'5" lineman who can run a 4.8 40, well, let me try to create my own version of a 6'5" lineman who can compete with him.
Right.
And so maybe this is also what we have, where this is like a little silent war, where the natural God force melanin is being put up against an artificial version, which basically comes down to the spiritual world versus the material world. And not in the sense, because really there is no battle between the spiritual and the material world in its true sense, but it is in the package that they have created, is what I'm saying, or what I'm supposing or suggesting, and maybe that's where we at.
Yep. They blocked out the sun in the Matrix. Yep. Blocked out the sun in the Matrix. Then did that and was still taking possession of through the machines. Put on the farm. Became a battery.
Oh yeah. Young E. This is Young E. You said look up Airman. Oh yeah, I'm familiar with Airman. That Rudolf Steiner wrote about these entities that push technology. Yes. I don't know where the damn book is. Two Steiner books. Young E, if you don't have this one, you got to get the Secret Brotherhoods. What's up, Brother Williams? Now, some people get caught up about how Rudolf Steiner is, pseudo and all. Let me tell you something. You got to learn how to read with discernment. Eat the fish and spit out the bones. There's a very good chance that Rudolf Steiner was a nutcase, but that don't dismiss he was dropping some heavy stuff, you know. This one, Young E, really speaks to what you're talking about. This one right here. Secret Brotherhoods and the Mystery of the Human Double. And then this one, Philosophy and Freedom. But yes, Rudolf Steiner speaks. He talks a lot about materialism, especially in this Secret Brotherhood. I don't know if I read it on here. I probably did already about what he said about the they call them inoculations. Let me see. Let's see here. Okay, let's read this. Is that one of his books too, Straight Panther? Abraham, Lucifer, and the Airman? I ain't heard of that one. Yes, indeed, Flex, he does. This is a passage from this Secret Brotherhoods. Certain circles in this materialistic age are striving to paralyze and make impossible all of humanity's spiritual development. Now, mind you, this is from 1917. Okay. Through causing people by their very temperament and character to reject everything spiritual and regard it as nonsense. A stream of this kind, and it is already noticeable in some isolated individuals, will become deeper and deeper. A longing will arise for there to be a general opinion. Whatever is spiritual, whatever is of the spirit is nonsense, is madness. Endeavors to achieve this will be made by bringing out remedies to be administered by, listen, inoculation, just as inoculations have been developed as a protection against diseases. Only these inoculations will influence the human body in a way that will make it refuse to give a home to the spiritual inclinations of the soul. People will be inoculated against the inclination to entertain spiritual ideas. Endeavors in this direction will be made. Inoculations will be tested that already in childhood will make people lose any urge for a spiritual life. Wow. So we know there's no denying the nefarious nature of all of this. But another thing to entertain, we've talked about on the phone, like, and going back to the whole thing about Marika, you know, and okay, bet Straight Panther. I'm gonna write that down. Abraham. Lucifer and Airman. And okay, bet. That's Steiner. Damn, I can't remember what I was about to say. It'll come back to me. But damn. And that's exactly where we at now. Most people ain't in tune with the spirit. My family don't understand my path. That's flex. Yeah, brother.
I don't think a lot of families understand
No.
this what the path we on,
Nope.
because it's past the norm. So when we try to come to them with what we're learning and understanding and trying to implement in our lives, it's so foreign to them. They look at us kind of, you know, with a slight, you know, with a closed eye maybe. But like I told Jamal, when certain things go down, you're going to be the person the people in your family come to. So
Yeah.
in a way, it's like the work you doing is going to be for good when certain things come online, because you're going to be privy to it and people are going to come asking you because they know you into this type of information. They might just ask you, they may just ask, what's your opinion? Because they know you into alternative, quote unquote, alternative information. So that's how I was looking, you know, man, I think me and you might have discussed that like maybe a week or so ago of just like, you know, what do we do with this understanding? Like, do we get on the soapbox with a bullhorn on the corner? Like, do we keep it for self, or we share with like-minded people? And then I came with the thought that, yo, we might be the ones that help our family when they are ready for it or when they in need of it. We might mess around and be the quote unquote Neo for them. You know what I'm saying? And then once they're more open to the information, they'll be, you know, hopefully they will be more eager to accept it and learn about it. That way, you know, you're not looked at as a deity. You could go ahead and share the information with them, and then, you know, and then we'll see. We'll see where their understanding go from the information they receive.
That's right. That's right. Our job is just to carry the light.
Right. Yeah. Because right now there's nothing going on, and everything, you know, well, there's things going on, but to them it's just everyday shit. I gotta go to work, I gotta pay bills, raise my kids, bills, you know, try to find a better job, try to find some decent, like all the shit that just go on the surface. But you know, but for all of us, we live under the surface. Like I tell people, I like to I like to go under and understand the machinery that controls the surface. Like that movie Dark Skies. Remember the movie Dark Skies, where every so often they would change time and you would have a new life. Like one time, dude was a cop. No, the dude was a cop, but no, I think one time. Yeah, Dark City. That's what it is. I thought it was Dark Skies. Dark City. Yeah, but it was so funny. They was on a flat Earth, right? Because when your man got to the wall, he bust through the wall, and what did he see? He seen outer space. Then at the end of the movie, when they pulled back from the planet, the shit had all type of machinery under it. Because that's what they was using to change to change the surface. And then every time the surface changed, you went to sleep, but when you woke up, you had no remembrance of your past life and you had a new life. So in one aspect of the world, you could have been homeless. Then the next aspect of the world, you could have been the CEO of a company.
Yeah.
So in watching that movie metaphysically, and then you juxtapose it with our world, what happens when we die and come back? Like, do we die and come back? And if we do die and come back, what were you before, and what and then you are what you are now, and then what were you were before, and then when you go to sleep again, which is death, and you wake back up, what world are you gonna be in?
Well, I want to add something in on that. The level of consciousness you attain in a prior life.
Right.
If if you come back,
Right.
the level of consciousness you attain depends on where you will be in that next go around.
Yes. Yep. And I heard you say that before, and I think that makes sense. So whatever you learn now, you mess around and come back and be what be something great in the next society, or what they consider great.
And just to piggyback, that speaks to why reality has to be controlled. So that people cannot evolve. And if people can't evolve, they keep coming and going to sleep, coming back, going to sleep, and they become perpetual time slaves.
Yep.
Or nailed to the wheel of karma.
Yeah.
And it's funny, now that you mentioned Dark City, they was giving people shots in that.
They had, because that's what Kiefer Sutherland was doing for them
that's right.
For the super tall cats.
Every now and then one of them wakes up.
Yes. Yep. And it was the cop that woke up. I gotta get to the beach. Get to the beach. Burst through he got to get to the beach, but he thought it was a beach, but it really was just a sign. He punched through the joint, and that's when the Matrix was unveiled. Yeah, that's a heavy movie. Like, I couldn't remember that movie for the longest time. I think I had seen it on like cable on a late night, and was just like dumb intrigued by it, and I couldn't remember it for the longest, bro. I think when Google came around or something, I might have Googled like Kiefer Sutherland movies to try to find that joint. And then I wind up finding it though, and but yeah, that's a heavy joint. It's like that, The Matrix, Blade Runner. That Soylent Green you be telling me about that I need to watch. Like, there's certain shows, and oh man, there's certain shows that me and Jamal, I was telling Jamal, I don't know if I talked about this on the last podcast, but we were talking about screenwriters, and like that it might be time to start looking up these cats, their biographies, and see what we can find, because and maybe like I looked up this I can't remember the dude's name right now. Remember I was telling you about the dude, and he was like a deist or something. Like that, like that was his religion, and he was a I think his name is Michael Crichton. He wrote books, and then some of his books were turned into movies. And then I think he had a chance to like direct a couple, but his movies never did anything. And I only found out about him like one Saturday night. I was up watching TV, and I have the digital antenna, and this movie came on with Tom Selleck in it. And I look up the info on it, and it's like this shit had, and this was in the 80s. And I mean, I know in the 80s too, like if you remember what was the show with Ricky Schroeder back in the day where they had the robot in the crib? He was the rich kid.
Silver Spoon.
Yeah, like he had a robot in the crib. I want to say he had a robot in the crib. This movie was about robots is like babysitters and butlers type deal. And this one robot snaps out. No, your man was in the movie from Kiss. Gene Simmons was in the movie, and he was a financier, and he had these, he had these guys, these tech guys make these chips so he could control the robots. And the shit was wild. Shit was wild. And it also made me think about that was the same issue. That was the same John in the Matrix. That's why the robots in them, if you see, this is why the Matrix is deep. You gotta get when you gotta go get all 3 Matrix movies. Then you have to get the Animatrix. The Animatrix is 9 anime shorts. That the first 2 gives you the whole Matrix story. And what happened was, man created machine to do the work for them. One of these machines kills its owner. They put the machine on trial. There was a debate on should they kill the machine. Humanity, so you know how humanity is. Some of them didn't want the machine to die. Then you had some that did. What happens is there became a war against the humans and the machines. The machines started winning the war. The humans, the government of the humans decided that if they block out the sun, that would kill the robots. But the robots were sentient. So what the robots wind up doing was they knew that we carry an electric charge. So what they did was, instead of killing us, they fed us, cocooned us, and used our energy from our bodies to give them life. So this is why, and you watch, this is, so when Neo comes out of the Matrix, he's in that goo and all of that. And then so that was him in the human farms being kept alive. In his life, where he was this hacker programmer guy in the Matrix, that was his life in the Matrix to keep him alive. Like they got to keep your mind going or whatever, so you can stay alive. And then they use your body as a battery, as Morpheus pointed out in the movie. But when you watch the Animatrix, it tells you, because the Matrix starts off where everything is already popping. But the Animatrix tell you how it got started. And that's just the first short. It's 9 other ones at different times of the Matrix. They got one of the shorts on there is the fucking Matrix is in ancient Japan with samurai fighters. The joints is heavy, bro. Like, cats got to go to FYE and see if you could, because they sell the Matrix as a bundle now. Buy the bundle with all 3 movies and then the extra DVD, the Animatrix, and you watch them joints. I'm telling you, they crazy, bro. It breaks the movie down even more. It enhances it even more. And then that ties into Inception, when they were putting people to sleep in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people no longer wanted to, and that's where we get with the VR, where we moving with the VR. And if you watch Black Mirror, the last season they just did, that short with Anthony Mackie and that dude.
Oh man, yeah, that's we don't even want to even.
But I'm just saying how Inception, Oculus, which they have out now. Now they're trying to get people to sit at home and live in a virtual reality.
Mm-hmm.
And they're giving you the plays through the movies to get you comfortable with it. Because we know the movies could be used for predictive programming, right? So we know that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, get people comfortable with it. You could be the quarterback in Madden 2050.
Right.
Play a whole season. And just have you straight shot out.
Yeah. Play to the ego.
Yeah.
Or the dark side of the ego. Yeah, I'm looking this thing up now. Also, if you want to get, so this like 4 discs.
Yeah, so it's gonna probably So you're gonna have. I think I got it on 2, because they can make the DVDs where one movie's on the front and one's on the back. You just flip it over. So I think the one I had was just 2. The first 2 movies is on 1 disc, and then on the second disc it was Matrix Revolutions, and on the backside was the Animatrix. And I had it, but I gave it to my dad a couple years ago because I wanted him to see the Animatrix. He had never seen them, so I could still get it because my dad has it. I was gonna let him have that and buy another one, but I bought it from FYE. I might go to FYE and see if they got another one. Because I just felt like that's something you need in your archives. I think the Matrix period, a lot of people say it's a documentary or whatever, but I think even more cats need that Animatrix joint.
Mm-hmm.
Because it taps back to what we were saying about going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep, waking up. Those 9 shorts is all different times. Future, past, present, beginning of the Matrix, or this or that Neo version of the Matrix. And then they even told you in the Matrix in part 2, when he was talking to the architect, he said Neo was the sixth incarnation of the One. He said we destroyed this place 6 times, 5 other times.
Mm.
So that digs back into the revelation of things are revealed. There's a quiet moment, as you said earlier, and then it goes back hidden.
Mm. Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, I'm almost at the house, so I can read a quick passage because we had an hour and a half. So I'll read a quick passage from this Quigley and see if we can get some more tie-in.
Bet. Yeah, because I'm about to go pumpkin season.
Okay, as my dad would say, it's pumpkin time.
Yeah.
Yo, my dad would be like, "Yo, shoot me to the house. What's going on? It's pumpkin time."
Right.
Yo, that was his joint. Gotta add that in my vernacular.
Hmm.
Because that shit used to bug me out.
Oh, you right around the corner.
Yeah, I'm in my parking lot. I'm at the spot. That's the good thing about my account. And driving time, it's like I'm 3 minutes from my account.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you start getting older, convenience, boy.
yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh man, it's a beautiful thing.
I might have
My
to go.
man.
I might have to go pop in this world and see what he's been talking about.
Oh man.
But yeah, man, great build. And I feel like whatever's going on is gonna shit is about to show itself. And you know, I think we just have to be prepared for the reveal as best as we can. Get as much information as we can, and like I said earlier, try to have some type of preparedness, or run some scenarios through your head of what you may do when things come hit the fan, because there may be a time for a crossroads.
Right.
So, okay. Since we're about to shut out, I'm not going to even get on my computer. I'm just going to stay on the jack and read this. And what I would like to do is I would like to read, since I'm going to be reading this book. This book is thick as shit. So I'm going to be reading this book probably for a little while. I'm trying to read it. I'm trying to read some every day. And what I would like to do is when we do the podcast at the end of the week, I would like to read some things that stand out to me that I feel may be beneficial to the audience and whoever see this video in the future. I think whatever I'm reading, I would like to add on in that way. Just so we're talking about, I think with this Tragedy and Hope book from Quigley's perspective, I think me and you, we talk about what's going on today. We do talk about some things in the past, but I think this Quigley book will give us a little bit of information on the past and on how we got here. So it'll be a good partner to what we talk about. Okay, so the first chapter is Introduction, Western Civilization in its world setting. Okay. Now, it says cultural evolution in civilizations. All right. The first thing I highlighted was this, and you can chime in whenever you want, and then I'll continue reading. But if something hits you, please chime in. It says, from these studies, it would seem that civilizations pass through a process of evolution, which can be analyzed briefly as follows. Each civilization is born in some explicable fashion, and after a slow start, enters a period of vigorous expansion, increasing its size and power, both internally and at the expense of its neighbors, until gradually a crisis of organization appears, When this crisis has passed and the civilization has been reorganized, it seems somewhat different. Its vigor and morale have weakened. It's become stabilized and eventually stagnant. After a golden age of peace and prosperity, internal crises again arise. At this point, there appears for the first time a moral and physical weakness which raises. Also, for the first time, questions about the civilization's ability to defend itself against external enemies. Wrecked by internal struggles of a social and constitutional character, weakened by loss of faith in its older, turn this page, in its older ideologies, and by the challenge of newer ideas incompatible with its past nature, the civilization grows steadily weaker until it's submerged by outside enemies and eventually disappears.
Mm.
What you think about that, fam? Can you see that in our society?
I can especially see it in Western society.
Mm-hmm.
Because whereas it might have taken 100,000 years for that to happen, let's say in with ancient Kemet or something, or ancient Kush, we see those cycles move, those ebb and flows within maybe a couple hundred years in Western society. You know.
Yep. So it goes on to say, this is a new paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Western civilization. We can see that certain modifications are needed. Like other civilizations, our civilization began with a period of mixture of cultural elements from other societies. Formed these elements into a culture distinctly its own, began to expand with growing rapidity others had done, and passed from this period of expansion into a period of crisis. But at that point, the pattern changed. In more than a dozen civilizations, the age of expansion was followed by the age of crisis. And this, in turn, by a period of universal empire, in which a single political unit ruled the whole extent of the civilization. Western civilization, on the contrary, did not pass from the age of crisis to the age of universal empire, but instead was able to reform itself and enter upon a new period of expansion. Moreover, Western civilization did not once, but several times, it was this ability to reform or reorganize itself again and again, which made Western civilization the dominant factor in the world at the beginning of the 20th century. So that's what I was saying about what was it that what happened at that time that they didn't get conquered. You know what I'm saying? Tying into, you know, that elitism as we was talking about earlier, and also this revelation time of things being revealed. What did they posit? Like, what did they do to where they weren't taken over by the universal empire? They've been able to stay in power for these, you know, couple hundred years.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. Okay. So now it says, as we look at the three stages, the three ages forming a central portion of the life cycle of civilization, we can see a common pattern. The age of expansion is generally marked by four kinds of expansion: of population, of geographic area, of production, and of knowledge. The expansion of production and the expansion of knowledge give rise to the expansion of population, and the three of these together give rise to the expansion of geographic extent. This geographic expansion is of some importance because it gives a civilization a kind of nuclear structure made up of an older core area, which had existed. This is in parentheses, which had existed in part of the civilization even before the period of expansion, in parentheses, and a newer peripheral area which became part of the civilization only in the period of expansion and later. So it goes on to say, in the Mesopotamia civilization, 6000 BC to 300 BC, the core area was the lower valley of Mesopotamia and the semi-peripheral area of the middle and upper valley, while the peripheral area included the highlands surrounding this valley, the more remote areas like Iran, Syria, and even Anatolia. The core area, and then it goes on to talk about the Cretan civilization, and it was an island of Crete, while the peripheral area included the Aegean Islands and the Balkan coast. In the classical civilization, the core area was the shores of the Aegean Sea, and the semi-peripheral area was the rest of the northern portion of the eastern Mediterranean Sea, while the peripheral area covered the rest of the Mediterranean shores and ultimately Spain, North Africa, and Gaul. So what he's saying is, you start your civilization in a core place. As you grow, this is what I was saying about you wind up bumping into somebody else and into another civilization, and then that's when that fight comes. What I was reading in the beginning. Where either you're taking over, who's ever the most powerful is going to take over and then bring you within their thing, or or you step off. You may take a small portion of that community that's been taken over and go somewhere and keep your tradition going just on a smaller order.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay.
No, you got it.
So that's expansion, and I'll just read this, and we can, and I'll come back to some more next week. But this is at the beginning of the book, so this is kind of breaking down how these civilizations, he doesn't get into how they come about. He's just saying they're already here, but then how they, move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this distinction. Let me see. Okay, this distinction of of at least two geographical areas in each civilization is of major importance. The process of expansion, which begins in the core area, also begins to slow up in the core at the time when peripheral area is still expanding. In consequence, by the latter part of the age of expansion, the peripheral areas of a civilization tend to become wealthier and more powerful than the core area. Another way of saying this is the core passes from the age of expansion to the age of conflict before the periphery does. Eventually, in most civilizations, the rate of expansion begins to decline everywhere. It is in this decline in the rate of expansion of a civilization which marks the passage from the age of expansion to the age of conflict. This later is the most complex, most interesting, and most critical of all the periods of the life cycle of a civilization. It is marked by four chief characteristics. It is a period of declining rate of expansion. It is a period of growing tensions and class conflicts. C, it is a period of increasingly frequent and increasingly violent imperialistic wars. And D, it is a period of growing irrationally pessimism, superstitions, and otherworldliness. All this phenomena appears in the core area of a civilization before they appear in the more peripheral portions of the society. The decreasing rate of expansion of the age of conflict gives rise to other characteristics of the age, in part at least. After long years of the age of expansion, people's minds and their social organizations are adjusted to expansion, and it is very difficult. And it is a very difficult thing to readjust to a decreasing rate of expansion. Social classes and political units within the civilization try to compensate for the slowing of expansion through normal growth by the use of violence against other social classes or against other political units. From this comes class struggles and imperialistic wars. So we can kind of see some of that. We see that in our society. This is what bore, it seems, some of the things we see still today through our politics and classism, all the isms, and this seems to be where the head is.
Mm-hmm.
And these things are still, they're still here today. But they're here today is because, like you said, how you talk about what go on in the lodges. So it's a culmination of a lot of different things that they talk about in the lodges to keep things going.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
But that's all I got for this week. And like I said, I got more that I'll have it a little more organized next week. But I just wanted that's at the beginning of the book. And I think that just gives us an idea of our world, a decent idea of how our world is shaped.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll end it there. And I guess before we check out, we want to we at 152. So we want to talk about the music real quick.
We can. Or can.
Well, just that we did the 2 tracks. We'll be dropping that soon. We just need to find album art. But the 2 tracks that we told y'all that we were gonna do is done. El Flamenco and Figure This. And Young E, MJ. I forget the other 2 people. You might have them close to you.
Jay Smith. I thought it was 3. I don't know if it was a.
Is it 3? I thought it was. Let me see. Yeah. That was it. Yeah, that was it. So yeah. So you guys' names will be on the credits for the 2 singles we're about to drop. And
that's right.
So be looking for that. We'll let y'all know when that'll be available on Bandcamp and on the streaming services. Like I said, we just gotta snatch the album art and then we'll be ready to upload those. So we do have 2 new singles getting ready to drop. And they're pretty dope. Can't wait for y'all to hear them.
Yes,
and and that's it. New music is out of the oven and settling. And then it'll be ready to serve momentarily.
Right.
But that's all I got, man. Great build.
Yes,
just want to say apologize for my in and out. But I'm trying to do my job on Fridays now, so I could just have my weekends a little more freedom on my weekend. So I will be working on my Friday nights. But so excuse any technical difficulties on my end. As y'all seen when I had the camera on, I do have a job. I do work. I am in the workforce. So, you know, I ain't out here capping for no, when we out here, asking for, if you guys want to help us move this music forward, it's a real thing. We doing it ourselves. We just saying if y'all want to add on and be a part of this movement that we trying to get up and going. And not even trying to get up and going, it's up and going. We just trying to,
That's right.
bring more light to it. So if y'all want to donate to the Think Music Cash App or the PayPal, please do. Your money will be going strictly to producing music. Once we find a videographer, it'll be going to making videos, and we would like to get merch going. So once again, appreciate all of those that may donate and those who have donated. We greatly appreciate it. And that's all I got, good brother.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment. Thank you all sincerely. And I'm excited for y'all at least to hear these two singles we got. And they'll be out before the next show so we can, talk about them and kind of go into what they mean, what's the symbolism. So stay tuned for that. That's all I got. Thank y'all, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Hope you enjoyed the bill. And if the creek don't rise, we'll be back next week. Do it again.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So, if all hearts and minds are clear, like they used to say at church.
I thought that was from church house. Oh, it's time to go eat it's time to go eat the vittles now.
Yeah. So, y'all stay up. We'll catch y'all on the top side.
Peace.